So this is a video on how to change your ink and how to use a converter. So I've got a bottle of ink here. This is a Lamy crystal ink. It's the Azurite crystal ink. It's a beautiful purple. So I'm actually going to take my cartridge out, and I'm not sure if you can see here, the cartridge is empty. You need to hold it up to the light. So Lamy does have a little ink window in their in the barrel of their pen. And here you can clearly see that my cartridge is empty. So what would normally happen is you'd be writing and you would start to feel that everything's a bit scratchy. So usually you would be writing and feel, oh, this is not, it's getting scratchy, there's a little bit of ink left in here. As you're writing, you might feel, oh, there you can see it's starting to get a little bit scratchier, and eventually your ink will start running out. And that's normally the sign that the pen is a little bit thirsty and needs a refill. So often people will panic at this point and think, oh, there's something wrong with my pen. So they'll message me in a panic, and the first thing I'll say is check your ink. Okay, so all my students know, don't message Robyn until you've checked the ink. So if your ink cartridge looks like this, it's pretty much empty. If it doesn't look like this and it's still got ink in it, generally what's happened is your ink has become a little bit thick and icky. So these are water-based inks, and when it's very hot or you haven't used your pen in a while, the water portion of the ink starts to evaporate, and you're left with a sort of slight sticky residue over here. So what you do then is you would take your empty ink cartridge out and you would just pop the whole end of the nib into water. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I've got very ordinary tap water here, nothing fancy. You don't need fancy filtered water for your pen. Just give it a little dunk and wash out any icky old ink. You don't even need to take the nib off. You can just do that. You can see the ink is coming out there. Generally, when you've done that and you pop a new cartridge in, or your same cartridge if you've got ink, if it looks like this, you need to throw it away. And then what will happen is you'll dry it off, put your new, you can see it's got some old ink coming through, and put your new cartridge in, dry it off on some tissue, and you'll see a little bit of ink there. And once you've done that, then your new cartridge should go in no problem and write no problem. So I'm just going to dry that a bit. I like to get a little bit of the water out if possible, just so that it's not so watery coming through. And if you are worried about your hands and you don't want to look like this, wear gloves or get someone else to do it. Okay, so just one more time inside there, just to give it a little bit of a dry. And I'm going to move this water out the way because now I don't need that anymore. And what I'm going to do, instead of popping in a new cartridge, I'm actually going to show you how the converter works. So I've got some ink here. It's a bottle of ink. You can give it a little shake and make sure your lid's on properly. And then take the lid off. Make sure you are working on a surface that if you do drip on it, it's not an issue. Don't work on your grandmother's lace tablecloth or anything like that, because you're probably not going to get this ink out. Okay, so now I've got my two parts of my pen and I've got my converter. You unscrew or screw down the middle piece. Pop that in. Always make sure you've got some roller towel or tissue ready. So I use my piece to dry my pens, and I'm going to just quickly get another piece. I just use toilet paper because I go through it so much that you know, I'm forever chopping and changing with inks, so I just find it a lot cheaper to use toilet paper. Pop that into your ink bottle. Okay, so you hold that like this and you then screw that up. Make sure its little nose is in the ink. You can start to see it coming through like that. Fill the whole thing up. Okay, now it's ready to go into the pen. Wipe it off just so that you're not having ink everywhere. And what you'll see on the sides here are two little buttons, like little plastic. You can see that there, and there's one on that side, little plastic pieces. Those actually fit into the little tiny gaps over here. So you've got these little grooves in your pen. There's a very small one, and it's actually got a little round thing at the end ready for that to click into. So I'm taking this and I'm going to click that in there. Okay, this stops the cartridge, the converter from falling out. You do also get a converter that is black on the end. It's for different styles of Lamys. You could use it in here, it's just it doesn't click nicely, and you'll find that it'll just fall out if you take it out. So it's better to get the red one, and that is the correct one for the Safari pens and these metal ones. So the Safari is the plastic one, and then you've got the All-Star, the AL-Star aluminium ones, and these converters fit all of those pens. They also fit the longer Joy pens, the one with the long end. Okay, so I'm going to then pop the back of my pen on. Before I do that though, I can, if I want to help push the ink a little bit through, I can, using toilet paper, just do that. Just push, you'll see I'm just going to squeeze it a little bit. It just helps push the ink through a bit. Do that a little bit. You'll see the ink is coming out the front there. You could even take the nose of your pen and pop that in if you don't want to keep on taking out your converter. So now what I'm doing is I'm just refilling the part that I'd pushed the ink through. I'm just refilling that. So here I've dipped its whole nose in, and I'm going to wipe it off just so there isn't excess ink everywhere. Pop the back on, and I'm ready to go. So always close these up. I have a bit of a phobia about knocking over a whole bottle of ink. Okay, so I'm going to then write with my, oh, there's my purple coming through already. So this is the most beautiful purple ever. This previous color that I had in was the school blue color. I call it school blue because in South Africa that's what our kids use. And you can see it's more of a blue color. This is a proper purple. So this is one of the crystal, Lamy crystal inks. Oh, and that is gorgeous. So that is the Azurite color. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. And that is it. It's as easy as that. If you decide you don't want this color in anymore, you can always take this back out. Oh, gosh. Take it back out. Whatever ink is left in there, you could just, unscrew that and put the ink back into your bottle. Okay, and it's as simple as that. You can rewash these. You can fill them up again or reuse them. If you want to wash it out, what you would do, I'm just going to pop this back into the bottle. So you just do that. Your ink is getting pushed back out into the bottle. Wipe that off. And you'll see my converter's gone back to being quite clear. Please don't look at my hands as an indicator of what happens when you do this. I am really messy with ink, and even though I do try. So I'm going to take this water again. That's still got that little bit of blue in. Suck that. You can see the purple coming out there. So I'm going to just suck up a little bit of the water, push that out, just cleaning it out a little bit. You can see how much purple was actually in there, even though it didn't really show. You can also leave this soaking a little bit. If you're chopping and changing between inks and you don't really mind a little bit of mixing at the end, then you don't need to do this process. It's just if you're going, say for instance, from this very dark purple to quite a light grey or a lighter color or something completely different, and you don't want any of the purple contaminating the new ink, then you can just wash that out like this and then dry that off, and then you're ready to pop that into your next bottle of ink, or just leave it. I would leave it to dry if you're not going to use it. Just pop it out on a bit of roller towel and you can leave it out overnight. Okay, so now I don't have any any ink in my my pen. Let me quickly refill that. So my my piston part is down there. I'm going to twist that up quickly and pop that in. So if you've ever watched any of my other videos, and I have a lot of videos where I've got ink on my hands, this is the reason why, okay? So it's also the reason why I don't have any nails, because it would be completely pointless. And it is as easy as that. These bottles, and most ink bottles, seem to be about 30 mils, and what is inside this little converter is probably less than a mil. So value for money, this is definitely the way to go. Even buying a fancy little ink like this, the crystal ink, and a converter is probably cheaper than buying the equivalent number of these cartridges. Plus you're saving the earth by not throwing these away every 5 seconds. Okay, so I hope that helped, and I will see you in the next video. I'm going to go and play with my purple ink now. Bye.